I had the good fortune to start off my working career by playing in the NFL for about 10 years. So I played in the NFL for Miami Dolphins and Cincinnati Bengals and Carolina Panthers, and back in the late 80s and early 90s. So after I got done playing football, I worked in a bunch of different corporate jobs, but what I figured out pretty quickly was I wasn't a great employee. So I needed to figure out a way to work for myself. So when you and I first met, I was actually just kind of starting out on my ventures of flipping houses. And I think I reached out to you to say, hey, like, tell me about, your experience with eye candy and some of the stuff that you were doing there. My wife and I did that for a number of years. We actually were out in San Diego at a mastermind group on flipping houses. And when we went, my wife said, it was November. My wife said, hey, I'll go with you out there to San Diego. And I said, well, I've heard about this thing called Airbnb. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think you can rent a place to live, or rent a place to stay. So we did that. We rented a place out by the beach in San Diego, and stayed there for about a week. And the longer I stayed there, I'm like, this is a cool idea. I've got to learn more about it. So that's what started me on my sort of journey of short-term rentals. I got involved in a couple masterminds doing that and learning about the process. One thing that I've done a lot of different things, a lot of different entrepreneurial things to try to figure it out. What worked for me. One thing I recognized that I wanted to be, I didn't want to be tied to one geography. So part of what really attracted me to this was the amount of technology that you could use and really be doing this from anywhere. And so we started off literally with I rented a 2-bedroom condo from a friend of mine that is a real estate investor. I think he's been a guest of yours before, Bill Powers. Yeah, and great guy. And Bill thought I was crazy, but he said, okay, I'll rent it to you. And we've continued to grow our business and do a lot of, we have I think 20 units with Bill now. So it's great. It's a great business. So we've since then we scaled the business and we combined our business with somebody else. I think we had just combined it before we talked last time, and we manage about 80 properties now. And we've got another 10 more right now that are in the pipeline that we're in the process of building listings. So wow. So we're shooting to be at or above 100 units under management by the end of this year, and it's a great business. So our model's a little different than yours. I know that you own most of the ones that you have purchased and manages short-term rentals. When we talked last time, I think I had 12 doors of long-term rentals. We've since then got rid of all of them and turned all of the proceeds from the properties that we had sold, and we turned them into short-term rentals.
Oh, okay.
And
so
we're fully invested. So we've got fewer properties. We purchased some more expensive properties, more in vacation areas, and include those in the portfolio of stuff that we manage through Plus Vacation Rental.
Got it. Yeah, that's good. That says a lot when you're investing in the same thing that you're doing for other people.
Right. Oh yeah, we're our money is definitely where our mouth is on this one, right? And so. Yeah, and again, like you, that's one of the things I admire about you, is since we started with one, I've done everything in this business, so it's easy for me to train people. We cleaned the unit when we did it, and I've talked. So every single piece of this business, I've actually had to do for it, and it's not a sort of a concept or an idea or explain it. So it's and again, because I wanted to build it as a not tied to one geography, I learned how to do it, and then I found somebody and trained somebody to do it as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's a true entrepreneur, going from the NFL to cleaning toilets. I mean, that's the definition of an entrepreneur right there.
We used to say that when I was in the NFL, the more things you can do, the longer they keep you around. So
yeah. That's a good point. Well, you mentioned in the last interview how businesses kind of grow in spurts, and you sometimes have to invest back into the business to get to that next level of growth because your current systems, they can't handle it anymore. So you mentioned when you're at 40, you're kind of at that level, where you needed to kind of start investing in the next level of growth. So I guess in terms of systems, what does that look like now? Or what, maybe you could talk through the progression of your levels
Sure.
of growth.
Yes. So, at the time, we had the system, the background system that could support growth. So that wasn't a problem. And, some of the dynamic pricing tools that we use, that wasn't a problem. The biggest problem that we got to was, invariably, there's still parts of the business that require like people being in the seat answering questions. You can build a lot of automation in, but there's still guests are going to have questions that somebody has to answer. So that was probably one of the biggest things that at the time I had one virtual assistant, and then COVID happened, and truly our business shut down from growing to nothing in about 2 weeks. And we kind of scratched our head like, okay, well, what now? And so, we kind of came through that. And we actually, once we started to pick back up, we brought that virtual assistant back on. But since then, we've hired 4 more. So we have 5 virtual assistants. And what that looks like is we end up having 2 people in the inbox at all times. For the most part, we cover from about 8 in the morning till about 4 in the morning of having somebody there to answer questions. We also have a 24/7 phone, like a virtual receptionist, so that guests can get in touch with us one way or another all the time.
I see.
In the background, we build a virtual knowledge database for our virtual assistants to be able to get answers to the questions, because over time the questions are going to be pretty much the same. And so if you answer them once, you put them in the knowledge database, and then the virtual assistants can find the answer. So the idea is that continues to work.
Got it.
And grow from there.
Okay. And are all your properties at the time that we talked last time, they're mostly all in Illinois? I know you've moved personally since then. Are they all kind of in the same area, or where are they at now?
No, so we've got about, we've got about 30 of them up in the Chicagoland area, mostly in the northern suburbs. And then I would say we've got about 25 of them down here in Florida. When I say down here, I moved myself to Florida. And then the remaining are just sort of spread around different parts of the country.
Okay. So from a virtual assistant standpoint, it's a very similar process regardless of where the properties are located.
It is, yeah, very much so. We are really our kind of our business model is, when we build a listing, we use a copywriter to help us with our writing. We use a professional photographer, real estate photographer, explain to them what we're doing, because the pictures are a little bit different than like a real estate listing picture. And then we find cleaners and handyman and stuff like that in any given location. And so so it doesn't matter whether it's in Florida, Chicago, or Pennsylvania. The virtual assistant team knows who the different vendors are, and connects with them when they need to.
Got it. Okay. And when you hired these virtual team members, was it all through like one hub, or did you hire them individually? And are they stateside, or are they in other countries?
So all of our virtual assistants are actually in the Philippines. We use a service called Virtual Staff Finder, and you pay a relatively small fee, and they go out and part of that process is you fill out a pretty detailed job description for them. And we've gotten better hiring over time because this is what we're looking for more than this. And then they go out and interview a bunch of people and narrow it down to three people and give you 3 candidates for you to interview. And then you hire them sort of directly. It's not through a service.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So it's just a flat fee. It's like a flat fee to find them, and then you decide of the 3, which one works best for you.
Okay. And in terms, I just had this question about compensating. team members, and there's so many different models for that. What have you found to be the most effective?
So for our VAs that are in the Philippines, we pay them a month, a monthly salary, and with the expectation that they're going to work 40 hours a week. And for them, a lot of times the thing for them is daytime for them is nighttime for them, or daytime for us is nighttime for them.
Yeah.
And so that sometimes is just part of the process. Some people like working those shifts, some people don't. And so that's what we've done is we've come up basically with a flat fee that we pay them at the end of each month, and they're contract employees. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I think that I like that model. I recommend that to people. And we have something similar. Our virtual team tracks their hours, and then we actually bonus based on all 5-star communication ratings on our property. So per property, at the end of the month, if we got all 5 stars on that property, there's a bonus that goes with that. And so they feel very integrated. And I think, like you just talked about, with the expectation that they're going to work full time, they can depend on that then, and they don't have to go searching for another job and worry, is it going to be less hours this month? So I think that's awesome. They can be integrated into your systems and really feel like part of the team then. So that's cool.
And what I found is they start to take ownership of their role, but also they recognize that they're helping grow this business. So they have sort of some pride of sort of ownership of the business succeeding as well.